It's a genuine pleasure in particular to be able to moderate a panel this morning, and it's a great panel. Before I get into the details, I do want to make you aware of a slight change in the program. We have a panel session first, and then that's followed by a presentation by one of the panelists. And then we had a presentation scheduled by Andrew Harrison of Cebu, but Mr. Harrison unfortunately had an emergency and was not able to come. And Azman Ahmad has graciously stepped in, and he'll be giving a different presentation instead, and we'll provide more details about that as we go on. So let me jump right in and tell you a little bit about our panel. This is a distinguished group, and again, we had a great conversation yesterday with them. Three very different perspectives, all airport related, but the three representatives come from vastly different perspectives. First, we have Javed Malik, who has been in the industry for 30 years, a lot of experience, particularly on the aviation side, on the airline side, has worked in just a staggering number of parts of the world: the United Kingdom, Australia, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, mainland China, the Middle East, and now India. He is now the Senior Vice President of Operations at Bangalore International Airport. Our second panelist is Emigdio Tanjuatco from Clark International Airport in the Philippines. And Mr. Tanjuatco comes from a very different perspective. He is an attorney by training and has held extensive leadership experience in both the public and private sectors, has dealt with a number of land use issues, a number of property boundary issues, and other public policy issues. And therefore, he has come to the aviation world, the airport world, with a very different set of perspectives that I think are going to be valuable for you to hear. And then our third panelist is Gautsil Madani. He's Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for Angkasa Pura in Indonesia. And he's been in that organization for 17 years and has held a series of progressively responsible positions, starting off in electronics engineering and working up through management ranks to his current position as Vice President of Marketing and Business Development. And we're simply going to have a conversation, and we'll be open to questions from the audience as well around a number of issues pertaining to airport design today and into the future. With that, please join me in welcoming our panel members up to the stage. Forgot to check to see, is this live? I should have checked to find out how to turn on the microphones first. 1 second. I'm sure this is on. Oh, are we live? Okay, excellent. All right, well, thank you. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And again, we wanted to have a very informal conversation about what you're seeing, what your observations are, lessons learned, what's worked well, and what you might anticipate doing differently as the aviation continues to evolve. One of the first questions that we wanted to talk about, let me just get a sound check from the back of the room. Is this a reasonable level at which to speak? Can you hear me okay? Excellent, thank you so much. So, we've already heard from a number of sessions in this conference about the importance of focusing on the passenger. And so really the first question, I'm literally just going to go in order, is what changes do you see that are happening or that need to happen in order to enable airports in particular to focus more on the needs of the passengers? And how does that involve other stakeholders besides just the airport operator itself? And I'll start with Javed.
Thanks, Elliott. Good morning, everyone. For us in Gautsil International Airport, which is at Bangalore, it's all about, as we're hearing a lot, data, information on the passenger, connectivity. So making sure that the customer is connected from home to aircraft door is something that we talk about door to door. So providing good connectivity in the airport, making sure that we understand who our customer is, what are their likes and dislikes, what do they expect from us through the journey, is what we're really trying to focus on. And that is ultimately through a digital platform, taking a digital journey with the passenger. All the other things that you normally see within an airport, whether they be regulatory, security, immigration, etc., customs are check-in, are expected to be there and expected to be working. It's what are we trying to do that's above that. It's what we're focusing on.
Good morning, everyone. Well, for the Clark International Airport, what we are trying to focus right now, especially when it comes to the new terminal design, is that if at present the passenger is all about waiting, what we want to do is change that paradigm and make the passenger all about moving. It's really more of mobility. Trying to make the terminal, the new terminal, more customer-centric and technology-centric, doing away with traditional spaces for controls and using those spaces to make it a more passenger-friendly experience for the traveler. Traveling in itself is very stressful. We understand the needs and the wants of the passenger, and what we want is to address those needs in a more seamless and a more hassle-free manner. And that's why in designing the new terminal for the airport, we want to do away as much as possible with controls. We try to put controls at the central area so that once the controls, the passenger passes the controls, he or she can spend more time with retail, with eating, alleviating the boredom and alleviating the stress of travel.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Elliott. I come from Indonesia. We are the biggest airport operator in Indonesia. We manage 13 airports across western part of Indonesia. Currently, we are facing problem in infrastructure development. We have 13 airports, and we are facing more than 13 problems, of course. In airport, we know that there are three factors that very impact the service of the airport. First, airside facility, landside, and accessibility. In our new airport, in Medan, for example, we already built a new airport, a greenfield project. We established there a new railway directly from city to the airport, and also we built a new runway, like around 3,700 meters. New terminal with capacity around 9 million. But fortunately, when we opened it in July 2013, it's almost full today. So, not like in any other part of the world, we are facing staggering growth of passengers. On average, in Jakarta alone, from 2001 until 2015, our average growth around almost 11% a year. In Medan, almost 12% a year. So we need to collaborate not only with passengers, but also in the first phase we have to collaborate with regulators, Ministry of Transportation, and also local government that we are facing right now. And at the same time, we want to change the role of our airport, not only as a node of transportation, we also want to make it as a node of economy. We want to make it as a role of aerotropolis. Like we have a plan to make Kuala Lumpur Airport as one of the aerotropolis, as one of the hub in the western part of Indonesia. Thank you.
Very good, and you've raised, I think, a very important point that it bears mentioning. Airports are capital intensive. They require significant investment in infrastructure, and in one sense, it's a great problem to have an airport that, if you built it new, it's already nearing capacity. On the other hand, it does raise challenges because building capacity is a major step. And so one of the questions that we'd like to talk a little bit about has to do with where the dollars come from. And in particular, since we want to talk about passengers, what do you see airports doing that you could do, or what lessons learned are there in terms of trying to position airport facilities so that passengers are in a position to spend money to help raise capital? And why don't we just go in reverse order? Is there anything you'd like to say right at the top? We'll start with you.
Yeah, so for us, just taking to the earlier point, the way that we try to achieve that is we've got a mission that says reduce the processing dwell times of a customer journey and increase the engagement dwell times or the entertainment dwell times. And that's what we're trying to focus on in terms of creating services from your door at home all the way through to the door of the aircraft that add benefit to you through that processing, but of course generate revenue. And one of the ways that we're particularly focusing heavily on over the next 5 years, we're building our second terminal, which will open in 2020, early 21, sorry. And that terminal is all about providing the customer these various services. So one of them is based around internet, connectivity, clicking, so click rates for advertising opportunities or through subscription-based services, whether that be downloading movies before you get on board an aircraft. And the reason for that is that in India, most of the flying times within the country are under 3 hours, relatively. Delhi, Mumbai, you can achieve in just under 3 hours, under 2 hours from Mumbai from Bangalore. But it actually takes longer to get to the airport than it does to fly. It can take just as painfully on some of the short routes to get through the airport in that time because of the regulatory constraints. So what we're trying to do is put in things like those services. Also look at the likes of Uber. And we're in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, so technology and technology providers are in abundance. Be amazed at the amount of cards and visits that I get just some development company trying to sell us some next service and bundling and combining of some services. So we're just really looking at anything really digital at the moment, particularly.
Yeah, I guess we're all in agreement with what Javed said. That we all want the passenger experience to be more connected, socially, mobile savvy. But aside from that, we at Clark, we try to tweak the new terminal. Aside from providing the passenger with a more seamless experience, is integrating the terminal design with the regionalism of where the airport is located. Clark International Airport used to be an American base. It's located in the central part of the island of Luzon. And a prominent feature of that area will be the proliferation of acacia trees. You have numerous acacia trees that were preserved despite the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991. And so in the coming up with the design of the new terminal, we want the acacia tree design to be integrated with the terminal. That gives the passenger who come from the region, or who come from that area, a sense of belonging. It not only provides the passenger a sense of pride, but it echoes what the passenger feels. And we would like to make the inbound passenger, tourists, business passengers, experience the region or the localization of that experience. And we believe that this will help promote not only the airport, but the whole Philippine experience as a whole, which will give the airport more relevance in the Philippine setting.
Okay, from our experience, especially in Jakarta airport, currently we are highly congested. So we are looking, passenger travel is not only when they are in our airport, but we are looking their journey begin from their home or their office to our airport. So that's why if you go to Jakarta, if you have a business to Jakarta, especially in the rush hour, you need at least 2 hours if you want to go to departure in Jakarta. It's highly traffic jam. So that's why we are trying to add another alternative of transportation to bring people from Jakarta to our airport. Hopefully, at the end of this year, we will start to operate new airport railway. We already done in Medan. You can see that. Probably, I can say that's one of the best railway in Indonesia. It's not comparable with Japan or any other developed country, but at least there is an alternative for them. At the same time, most of our income is come from regulatory side, aeronautical side. So we have to look another source of income, source of fund from the non-aeronautical side, from transportation facility, so we can increase passenger dwelling time in our airport. That's why we focus not only their passenger journey in our airport, but passenger journey begin from their home, from their offices to our airport. That's why we established a joint venture with railway company in Indonesia to build airport railway and etc. So this year also we will open the new terminal 3. I think that's one of the biggest terminal in Indonesia with capacity 25 million passengers at the end of this year. So we can a little bit ease our congested airport, and in 2019 we will start a new building, the Terminal 4, and before that we will refurbish the old Terminal 1 to Terminal 2. So totally at the end, maybe before the Asian Games, because our target is Asian Games in 2018, we can have capacity in Soekarno-Hatta around 67 million passengers a year. So we are struggling right now. Today, this morning, we are signing an agreement with bank to get a new loan around 3 trillion rupiah to funding our project. Keep continuing we have to develop our airport, not only in Jakarta but also the rest of 10 airports across the western part of Indonesia.
Great, so if I could just amplify, I'm hearing 3 different perspectives, but they all center around connectivity and frankly planning. From my perspective, I think what I'm hearing, particularly from Indonesia, is such staggering growth that it's requiring very rapid but phased development of infrastructure, and also very careful attention to intermodal planning, understanding the entirety of the journey from someone's front door to the airport, through the airport and beyond. At the same time, hearing from Bangalore a similar interest in understanding who the airport's patrons are, who the customers are, where they live, how they want to move, and same in the Philippines, trying to really understand how to tap into that resource, the resource of customers as a source of financial stability, but also understanding their needs. Have I captured it correctly? And I think those 3 all have to be considered together. They aren't isolated, siloed sources of information. Javed, you mentioned the technological developments, particularly associated with Uber. I am curious, are there other technological innovations that you see that are driving change in the way terminal facilities or associated facilities need to be designed or could be designed in order to accommodate future innovations?
Yes, there is. I mean, IATA themselves have the STB program, so within that, the passenger journey through the processing, whether that be immigration, your visa, your passport check, your check-in transaction, we call it fly-through, but if we could create the ability to have a single processing of all those various services, even, again, at home, online, on the way, that you don't then have to wait in the queue, you're just processed. I describe it sort of the customs red and green channel. If you're a green passenger, you're already good to go. Why do you need to line up? Why do you need to have processing done later at the airport? And then you just do security. Today's technology, whether they're walk-through scanners, and we all saw it on Terminator years ago, but those technologies are real today almost. So if the passenger could just walk through some process, that's what I think that needs to be embraced. The other is clearly check-in. I mean, we're building a new terminal that will handle initially 35 million and go up to 50 million passengers per year. At the 35 million mark, we're already saying there is no check-in desk. So in 4.5 years, we will have a terminal that will not have a single check-in desk. It will have some form of check-in processing. There's technology there today for things like fast bag drop, self-bag tagging and dropping technology. All those we're trialling now. Within the GBK group I belong to, we have something called the 360, GBK 360 Innovation. And that's basically using our existing terminal as a laboratory for the next generation of passenger experiences. So we're putting in new technologies now, trialling them, and then saying, right, that's what we want. What we're not hanging ourselves up onto is what is the actual hardware technology, because computing technology will move by the hour, so there's no point being worried about we need this specification. It's really just about having the capability, and that's what we're sort of looking at.